My mum's kids is, you know, that situation.
Yeah.
And I think she couldn't take her head away from, you know, how she saw us, because she was more of a mother.
She always see you as the little ones that I'm protecting.
That's right. Yeah. So when we got older, she couldn't manage that idea and whatever.
The roles have changed now.
Yeah. So we kind of, there was always some sort of angst and all that. Although towards the end of her life, I had, you know, the best time with her. And we, you know, anyway, that's another thing before we start getting emotional again. So anyway, so where am I musically? Yeah, right. So I'm teaching myself, I'm furthering myself with bass, and so I've come completely out of the music business, and I'm trying to deal with this, trying to live somewhere and trying to be somewhere, trying to do this and trying to do that. My grandmother had a flat in Bentham Road, where I grew up, and she was in America. So I went, look, Mum, I'm going to go here. She said, yeah, go on, fine, have that. So from here now, I get a call from a girl called Iris. Now, Iris used to live next door to us in Leighton, in Leighton, where my dad had the sound system and my stepmother and all that. The first place I went to after my mum. And Iris lived next door. So Iris had music in her too, and she used to talk about it a lot. So I decided that I'm going to put Iris together with a cousin of mine and another girl called, oh my God, I can't remember her name. But anyway, another girl. So I can have
Listen, you were already a big man in 1973. You're not going to remember every name. Okay, I understand.
Okay.
I'm making allowances for this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So I put these girls together because I then thinking, because I'm going to the studio, I'm funding it myself. I've got a Saturday job. I'm working at Jones Brothers in Holloway Road, and I'm working in the radio. And
so was that a clothes store? Jones Brothers, is it a clothes store?
It was part of the what's the posh store? There's the store that sells food, Waitrose. So it's part of that group. So Jones Brothers, they had ones in the West End, can't remember what they're called, but Jones Brothers are big departments.
Jones, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Which one?
Jones, Peter Jones.
Peter Jones, that was all part of the same group.
Yeah.
Right. So I used to work there. In fact, the Jones Brothers that I used to work at is now Waitrose, actually, on Holloway Road. It's on the corner of Holloway Road and Seven Sisters. So it's a big store there. So anyway, so that was my Saturday job. I used to save and save and save and save, and then I would use my money to go to studio and so forth. So Iris, my idea was trying to get these three girls up. Whenever I need backing singing, I would have them come and do my stuff. So at this time now, so a local band called Revelation asked me to come and play keyboard.
With you, boy.
So the girl Iris happens to sing With You, Boy with the lead singer. Come on, I'll come up with it in a minute. I'll come up with her name. So she became part of that. So I end up, so when I was in Revelation with Gary Dixon and all those guys.
So you were in Revelation?
I was in Revelation right at the beginning.
You see, that's why I need to hear these stories. I have no idea. Yeah. Now I know why you were handling that bass like that. Okay.
Although back then I was playing keyboards. Don't
confuse the issue, yeah?
I was playing keyboards for them. But they were hooked on Bob Marley covers. And I said, I want to write my own music. So I ended up leaving them. And then they had this songwriter who wrote With You, Boy, and then the rest is history. They went off and did that. So now I started to write my own songs, and then that's where the Smile and all that stuff came about. So my dad, I go and find out how to press the records, what to do, blah, 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 blah. And my dad's saying, boy, at first he was saying to me, you know, I really like the fact that you're doing what you're doing, but the music business is tough. It's, you know, I'm not sure that that's the thing for you. You know, I said, Dad, I didn't say, well, I said, Dad, I just feel this is what I really need to do. And so when I produce the records now, I got the 12 inches and everything. He goes, and that's the first time 12 inches were coming out. And he said to me, all right, let me take you down to Jetstar. So he took me to Jetstar, and I met Carl and put the records there, and the records started to sell. And then that weekend, Rodigan plays my record on the radio. And I was like, oh, I was jumping around the front room like an idiot. I just like, what? The first time I had something played on the radio was like, although I was playing session for others that came on the radio, but me singing and doing all this kind of thing.
Right.
And playing this whole thing with this record called Smile that I wrote walking up Prospect Hill. So, so that was my first taste of that. Now, after that, and I came out the music business. So Iris now, the reason why I tell you about Iris is because Iris then gets Black Slate decide they want to produce an album for her. And I wrote a song that Iris heard, and she wanted me to do it, but she wanted me to play bass on it. She said, no, you can't be going out there and not doing music. This is crazy.
And I was fortunate enough again to interview the lead guy from Black Slate, who now lives in Antigua.
Anthony Brightly.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, he, over the years, you know, just our paths come together. In fact, I saw him out he was making a complex out in Antigua. And I actually saw.
That's right. Yes, yeah. He lives. He lives
so
there. When he came in to do one of the interviews, because he had a whole range of new stuff out from Black Slate, and
they're touring all the time. It's just really nice to see. Really lovely to see. The last time I got this random call from him last year, around about November. He goes, he's with another friend of mine in Ghana. I go, what you? He said, Delroy. Okay.
But the funny thing is, you know, I know Anthony through Jazzy B, because Jazzy is Antiguan and he lives out there in Antigua. So, you know, we've done the Back to Life thing together, and it is Anthony's sound system that B uses when Rodigan and Norman J and Trevor Nelson and everyone comes out to do Back to Life. Okay. That's how I knew him. So they then say to me at the radio, this guy wants his PR people say he wants to do an interview. Great. So I'm thinking, who's this? I know Anthony Brightly. I know him from Antigua. Had no idea he was Amigo. Amigo. Had no idea. No idea whatsoever.
And a lot of other records. He produced a lot of top Lovers Rock tunes as well. That, you know, so he's steeped right in the business. And also his dad, Mr. Brightly, when all the shebeens were happening and all that kind of thing, he used to provide the drinks.
Okay.
He was one of the red.
The interconnection is almost incestuous, because you all know each other.
We all know each other. So my dad would be on the sound. He would provide the music, the beer, and long life beer.
You know, connections that actually precede the fame. Which is probably why you guys still are connected now, because these were not made, you know, after. They were made way before.
Yeah, so these connect. Absolutely right.
But I want to move forward to
let's go.
Total contrast years.
Okay, so right, so I'm actually coming to that. I'm actually really coming to that. So
not that I like to rush him an hour and a half later.
Yeah, I know. So this girl Iris.
You know, this is gonna be in two pieces. Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna come right now. So Iris, this is where I'm coming to. So Iris now, she's making this album with Black Slate. So she wants me to come and play bass on a track, and she gets this other guy to come and sing on a track with her to do a duet. So what the keyboard player from Revelation was supposed to be coming and playing keys, and we're at Linda Lusardi's brother's studio, Mark Lusardi.
Oh, yeah, that's
right? Where a lot of the Lovers Rock was made, and because Dennis Bovell used to work there at one time, and all kind of stuff. And so we're at this studio, and then this guy is singing and playing piano, and I lean up my bass against the piano to make sound, so it reverberates and it vibrates, I should say. And I'm playing along with him, and we're jamming, and all these people in the room, and we're kind of jamming. It's like we've just ignored everybody. It's like they're talking and whatever, but we go. And I remember doing the grooving. I want to spend the night with you, with the baby. And he's doing this song, and I'm thinking, boy, this dude can sing. So I'm playing, and I'm making up. I remember the bass line and everything. And he said, you know what? We got to get together. He said, look, I'm doing my exams. And after the exams, let's get together. I said, look, I live in Stoke Newington. Just come over. And at that time, I was with this guy, Eddie, who played guitar.
Right.
And I invited Eddie over because another friend of mine took me away because he saw me not playing music. He took me to this place called Celebrities in East London in Forest Gate. And we started to practice there and whatever. So I brought Eddie along to the session. So there was Robin being Ghanaian, me West Indian from Jamaica, and then this Indian guy, Eddie. And
really
Eddie
cosmopolitan.
Really cosmopolitan. Hence the name Total Contrast. That's where the name. So when we got a session in Rochester, a real cheap studio we got there, but it was really good quality and whatever. And we went over there, and we was sitting at breakfast, and I said, we spent the whole night there. And I said, I was trying to get the bass to do or something to do a Total Contrast to the song. And I said, that's a good name. And then we decided to keep it, and then we went, oh, I'm not sure about this. And it wasn't until we did a gig in Dingwalls, and this American guy went, we were back in Dennis Gravel and the Dub Band, actually, and which I still have the poster of it. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, Total Contrast. And I went, yeah, that's the name.
I like that. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Yeah, I like that.
So from there we started to do little things, and we played at this little club. We used to play at this little clubs here and there, just trying to. And then the drum machine came up. Now by this time, now we've gone and had a big band, 10-piece band. Let me speed this up for you. We had a 10-piece band, and terrible things happened in the sense that I lost my bass amp because couldn't play for the mix and the sound system and all kind of thing. And so Robin and I went, look, let's get rid of this whole horn section business and all this kind of thing. We are not going to be Earth, Wind and Fire. It ain't going to work. So it was very depressing. And I went to Night Moves that weekend. Not knowing
Night Moves.
Yeah. And we're in the club, and this record comes on. Kashif. I go up to I think it was Calvin Francis that was playing, and I go up to, who was another person that went to school with us, by the way. I went up to the DJ, and I see Robin. I said, Robin, what is this? I want to know who this is. And I said, me too. I want to know who's singing this record. I didn't even know you were here. Right? We go up, and I go out on import and buy that album same time.
What an album. Help yourself to My Love.
My Love. Oh, what a tune. What a tune. Girl, release your love on me.
I'm telling you, lyrics, but what a tune.
What a tune. And we look at the credits and we go, programming. Okay. So then at the same time, Robin says,
you got to find out what's programming.
So from Robin goes, I've got the solution to the big band. I said, what is it? He said, there's this thing called a Yumi BBC computer. And this guy has added this thing where you can play music in it and it'll play back at you. I went, oh, fuck. Excuse me, off. It can't work.
Yeah, right. We'll
edit that one. Off. It didn't. So I said to him, really? So we put together. So he would get dole money one week and I'd get dole money the other week. Just so happened how it fall. And we kind of juggle between the two and how he's going to make it work.
See, real life stories here. Yeah. Real life stories. That's what's important.
Yeah. And then then we had a moment where we worked for an insurance company. Then after that, we worked for an insurance company for Crown Life. And Robin finds this deal in Manor House that if you for £1,000 you can get 1,000 records. You get 3 days recording, 2 days recording, and 1 day mixing. So we said okay, and we got this song together, "Be With You Tonight." Be with you tonight, even if it means that you and I are gonna fight. You know, Robin with that deep voice. So we go into the studio, produce this record, and we have 2 girls with us at the time. Petula Clark was her name.
Stop it.
Her name was Petula Clark. I think her parents are being very funny. She was a dread.
Oh, right, not the Petula Clark. Because I was going to say the Petula Clark.
Yeah. In fact, you know that "Shine, Shine Your Light," the guy that was chatting on the Aswad tune. It was Drummy's son, I think. Well, that was his mum. Right. That was that boy's mum. So, you know, Petula. So we had them singing on it with us, and when we produced this record and we put it out. So because I put out records before, I had a bit of experience with this. So I go to Jetstar and I go to various other. By then, we've got other soul distributors as well. And we sell the song out in like that. And I'm thinking, wow. And I said, and so at the time I said, look, what we ought to do, because no one knows the name, let's name the label Total Contrast. And we made up all these names of production and this and all that. And say, well, we'll make it sound like there's a company going on. And then from there, we get a review in what was that record? The Bible for the DJs. I can't remember what it's called. It was at the time, it was the thing that all the DJs followed. So the guy puts our number in there and said, if you want PAs. I said, what's a PA? So then we went up and down the country just singing this thing up and down. And that's where we got a lot of our performing experiences from. Yeah. And then we then decided to put out another tune, and we did Next Time I Know Better and whatever. And then this guy calls us up and says, look, I really like the entrepreneurial spirit of you guys. It's amazing what you've done. You've just gone out there, because nobody wanted to sign our record. So we just went and done it ourselves. And he said,
sometimes that's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do. And he said, look, I'm going to give you, I'm going to introduce you to this guy called Steve Harvey. And what you're going to do is you're going to write for 5 days. And then on the weekend, you're going to record 2 or 3 songs. And just
I can hear something in the background. I can hear something in the background.
Oh, hold on a minute.
Like talking.
Yeah, so where am I now? Yeah, so we got Steve Harvey. So he says to us, we got 5 days to write whatever we're going to write, and then we're going to record it on the last 2 days on the weekend. So we on the first day we write Takes a Little Time, because that was the piecing together of 2 different songs. The bit that goes, there I was counting my losses, thinking of had passed me by. That bit was from a different song that we had.
Right.
And then the Takes a Little Time just kind of came up, and we both singing it like a Sam and Dave kind of thing.
So you kind of use the other song as the bridge.
As the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it was a chorus originally in the other song.
Right.
Right. So. And then when we put this together, and Steve with his music, and it just really gelled nice. So he spent Tuesday developing it a bit more, Wednesday developing it, and then on the Thursday was a bit of a loose day, and then on the Friday, can you still hear?
Yeah.
Could you go here? Edit.
Yeah.
Right. So we do the song. So on the Friday now, he had this beat going. and we're thinking, oh, well, we've only got one song, and we're going to the studio tomorrow. And I go to the he had a bass sound up, and I go to the keyboard and I go do 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 do, and he goes, yeah, I like that. So we start developing that, and that became Hit and Run. So we wrote on the Monday, we wrote Takes a Little Time, and on the Friday, Hit and Run was starting to develop. So we developed it up to the first verse, right? Now after this, he leaked the tapes to Pete Tong. All gone wrong, Pete Tong. Pete Tong goes mad about it and says, you know, to the manager Erskine Thompson, who told us who funded us going to the studio, he really wants to sign it. Yes, then we do that. Then we had interest from other people as well. But cut a long story short, we signed with London Records. There is a bit of a story there where we kind of had to do it, but anyway, we upped our money basically, because what happened was at that time they only saw, well, even now they only saw black musicians as, you know, there's only so much money they will give you. There was only be so much this and so much that, and it was a shame because we're doing the same music as everybody else, but they're not giving us the same attention. They're making us they try to make us feel like we should be grateful for the little deal they're giving us and all this kind of thing. And I was trying to point out to them, but even back then I was a bit entrepreneurial in the sense that I said to them, you know, we could put records out and earn this kind of money. I don't understand why you want to give us 23,000 to make an album. Well, who's going to make that with that? Where was that going? So anyway, we get a call from Chrysalis. And they call my house, and she said, look, we're trying to get hold of your manager, but they're telling us that the deal's done, whatever. I said, really? Okay, when do you want to see us? So me and Robin go down to Chrysalis, and we're sitting there, and they said, look, at the time Go West was out. They said, look, we really would like you to be like the, but they're never even afraid to say it, the Black Go West. So we say, yes, indeed. So we say, okay, with the same kind of budgets as ours. So I said to him, well, look, if I was to ask you for 50 grand for us and 50 grand to make the album, what would you say? I started, my heart's beating like crazy, like, how dare it? And they went, we would give it to you.
Now, which means they were prepared to give you more, actually.
I wish I'd said more.
Yeah,
because they looked like they were prepared, but because we started at 23 grand. So now I've gone to 100 grand. I think I've done good, but I should have asked some more. Right? But anyway.
Well, you learn now you should have hushed him out and let them do the talking. Well, no, you learned that later on.
It's true, because I should have let that, because I didn't know what, but at the time, it was such a
well, it's an epic period in your life. It's something that really you've sort of been working towards, and it's finally coming to fruition. And suddenly, you know, you're offered this, and you go, "Wow!"
Yeah.
So,
and we could, and if I'm being honest, I think there might have been a bit more sort of caring about our music, I think, at the time, because the guy who was talking to us, he went on to be like some big guy in Chrysalis out in America and so on and so forth. So I think because the only problem when we were with London Records is that we did the first album and all that. Oh, by the way, good thing with Hit and Run, because It Takes a Little Time took off so quickly, we had to then make an album. They sanctioned the album deal. Oh, by the way, London matched it, by the way. So they matched what Chrysalis. He went, oh, yeah, go on then.
Don't say it again.
No, I won't. So, and then he said, and so they matched it. And then when we were doing Hit and Run, I was writing the second verse for Hit and Run while Robin was singing the first verse in the studio. That's how quick things were happening. Which was an experience, and then that became the second verse. So then we started writing other tracks, and then that first album then was born. But when the second album came, you know, they started to think about us in a more commercial way,
right?
And I kind of said to him, look, can you play any, you know, which some of these songs can you play on your show on a Saturday night? which one of these songs? I mean, why are you taking us down this road? You know, great songs, but the
not
treatment of them, they weren't who we were.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, this is quite common within this thing and whatever.
Absolutely, because most people that I've spoken to have faced and encountered and been confronted with this dilemma.
Yeah.
You know, the record company want to take you in a direction that is not really what you want to do, not who you are, not what you went into it for.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that they end up being, you know, ostracized, as we've used the word earlier in the show, by the record company. But some of them still persist and, you know, develop and release their stuff independently. Right.
So ironically, when we went to America to write our second album, we wrote with Carl Sturken and Evan Rogers, who happened to be the guys that later discovered Rihanna. And we wrote with lots of various different things. I had a great time in New York writing all these songs. And a couple of songs that Robin and I wrote, we used the 808 drum machine, which was the drum machine that made Loose Ends famous. So when we came back, we was like, whoa, this is going to sound like people are going to go, you guys just copied Loose Ends. Because no matter what we did, because it was it was that Jam and Lewis sound. It was that whole Philly sound. Yeah. So we decided to then go, all right, well, why not, instead of wasting these songs, why don't we get 3 people in, a guy and a girl and 2 guys, and we already had Maureen in the camp, and then we created.
So you know, just to explain to the viewers, this leads us into their management period, I guess you would call it, wouldn't it? Because you developed the group called Tongue and Cheek, which was Maureen and 2 guys. Don't worry, I've done my research. I've done my research. Tell me tomorrow, okay?
Yeah. Well done. Well done. So that's when we did Tongue in Cheek. And the reason why I called it Tongue in Cheek, well, I came up with the name Tongue in Cheek because it was a tongue in cheek thing to do, because Pete Tong didn't know at the time it was me and him. So it was that's what Tongue in Cheek was about.
Right.
So we got, and then would you believe it? We put out this tune called Nobody Can Love Me the Way That You Do.
Yeah.
And it just took off. And so that was on the underground. And of course, we went to Jetstar, who I had this long relationship with. And then this tune was blowing up. So we go, me and Robin go, right, we put on a suit to go and collect our money. The man tell us that we owe him. Barrie.
What do you mean?
We go to Jetstar to get what we thought was going to be a nice little check.
Right.
And the man presented us with a bill.
For?
Apparently promotion, and you know, we had to do this and we had to do that.
Oh yes, because you see, this is what catches a lot of people when they're getting this advance thing that they think.
But we didn't take no advance. I mean, we made the records ourselves.
Well, boy, I can't even explain that one. You'll have to explain that.
So I was like, we were devastated. I just couldn't understand. And, you know, we weren't the only people that he did this to. So, of course, from there, our relationship stopped.
Of course.
Right. And then we started to go elsewhere. And that was before the so we made, then Robin calls me up and he goes, I've got this idea. I said, quite all right. And he goes, let's do a version of Encore. And he said, we're just going to put the funky drummer underneath it and do whatever with it. And so we do this version of it. And we say to Maureen goes, I don't think that's going to work. And we're jumping on tables and going, look, it's going to work. And we start dancing and to convince them to do this tune. So anyway, we get the tune done. And then it just so happened that Pete Tong was going on holiday on Capital Radio, because we couldn't really converse with him with it, because he just didn't want us to do anything else.
Yeah.
So who was the guy now that was on Capital Radio? Black guy that he took his place he stood in for him, and he put it on and he said, I want everybody to, I'm going to run a competition to somebody tell me who this group is. And he put it on, and the place lit up. And everybody they're calling all kind of American groups. I was so impressed. And then he said it's tongue in cheek. And listen, by Monday morning, record companies were phoning my house. I don't know how they got my number, but they found my number and phoned my house. And we eventually signed it to EMI. Right. Had a lot of fun. And it's the relationship with them unfortunately fell apart, but I think the understanding of where we were in the music business was a little bit lost on them in a way. But you know,
you were probably paying the bill from Jetstar as well.
Well, yeah. Well, you see, it's when you get into this, right? They did get money and so forth. But it's like, you know, when they came to us and said, the two guys came and said, right, because the two guys...
You can see my husky in the background.
Yes, I see him, yeah. I could see that... I could see that they... Sorry. They said, oh, they want to make the next records. And I said, well, look, if you want to do that, you can. But the truth was, we did... Robin and I did most of the harmonies and the music and and wrote the songs. So we said, all right, well, you know, right, present us some songs and let's see if we can make it work. But that didn't happen and so forth. But you know what? It is what it is. So here we are.
But you've always been in the music. So as a session musician, management, what did, after Tongue in Cheek, what happened there?
Well, after Tongue in Cheek became 291 Club. So,
right, okay. So that's Hackney Empire, Club, where your mother and father saw each other again.
Where they saw each other, and then here I am now in Hackney Empire. Beverly Randall, I don't know if you remember her, Beverly?
Of course. She now lives in Spain, I think.
She lives in Spain now, yes.
That's right, yeah.
She asked me, I met her at a party in over West London, and she said, oh, right, I'm going to start doing this show with this lady, Elayne. I went, right, because I hadn't met Elayne by that time.
Right, okay.
And she said, I really would love some acts to finish off the show. So then I would go out and find British acts. I was definitely wanting to, you know, stop the British acts and try to big people up and so forth. So I'd find the acts to finish the show. So they were talking about the concept. By that time, we had maybe 200-300 people in the bottom of in the stalls. It wasn't popular by then, and then it started to gather pace, because at that time I think 291 came at a really crucial time, because there was a lot of violence in the clubs, and we had because by this time we were having not grime before drum and bass, and drum and bass was great. It was multicultural and all that, but drum and bass took a turn towards a kind of a dark kind of thing, and people were kind of going a bit nuts, and you know, you had to have security, which we never used to have in clubs before that. It would just be doorman, but not security.
Yeah.
So then it started to take a dark turn, and women decided they weren't really wanting to go to them kind of clubs and whatever. So when the theatre thing came along, and we did this 291.
Yeah,
it was just at the right time that people go, I want to do something different. I want to do something where I could dress up, and if I wanted to go out, I could go out after it. And so it really fell into the right slot. So after me making up getting the people to finish the shows and that, they came back for another series, and then they said, no, on that series, the first series, they took us. We had judges, but you wouldn't see the judges. So they said to me, one of you, there was 4 of us, and they said, we'd love one of you to go out and tell the audience what the judges thought.
Right.
And the 3 of them stepped back, and I was standing there. They go, anyway, I ain't doing it. So I said, oh, I'll give it a go. And then it became a feature. Then I became the resident judge. And then from there, then people started to come in more and more and more and more. And we had a really bad winter. And it seemed like people just came in their droves. It just like, it just took off.
And you call that bad?
It was good. Well, yeah, it was a good winter for us.
Right.
Right. And so then from there onwards, I tried to develop the role. I said, look, you know, we can't be using tapes and backing tracks. You know, we need to go live.
You got to polish it. You got to make it professional.
Let's go live. So then I put a band together, and the band evolved over the years into different types of bands. And I've got to say and give a great big tribute to one of the guys. He's just recently passed away last Friday. Wayne Nunes was my go-to guy, man, on bass, and he sadly passed away. We're all the whole music industry, the fraternity are just devastated. We didn't see that coming. Right. So I've got to give him a big, big, big tribute to Mr. Wayne Nunes, who, you know, backed up all sorts of things. But him and Perry, they were like known as the drum and bass. Yeah. You know, I did a lot of work with them. You know, they backed up Mr. Caribbean.
Sly and Robbie of London.
Yeah, really, and across all kind of genres. You know, yeah. I helped with a lot of things. We played together so many times. Mr. Caribbean Queen. What's his name again?
Billy Ocean.
Billy Ocean. They backed up. They did the whole world with him. Right. And you know, so yeah. To R.I.P. Wayne Nunes, condolences to his family and friends. You know, all of us are just devastated over that one. But yeah, he was in the band, and I've launched quite a few people through 291.
But you seem to have disappeared from sight for a while after 291. Yeah,
after 291, I was doing music for TV and doing kind of grown-up stuff. I was kind of doing sort of, you know, I always kept a little studio going, and so I would do, I did music for Baby Father. Do you remember that series that was on BBC Two?
Yeah.
I did music for that. I did Get Up, Stand Up. I did some Real McCoy. Did a little bit of East End.
And as you say, you know, because you're not in the or at the forefront, doesn't mean you're not still involved.
That's right.
So, and that's the mistake people make. They think, oh, well, because you're out of sight, you're not doing anything. But it's like, yeah, well, you know what? There's all the behind the scenes stuff that needs to be done. So, and
I put a lot of, then from there, I put a lot of work into youth. I did a lot of mentoring, and I did a lot of, I got a lot of people into the music industry and trying to, you know, and it's been very rewarding when people call you years later and go, you know, if it weren't for you, blah, 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 blah. I relish that. I love that. I love people, and I love looking at progress and wishing it well, you know? And
absolutely. You know, as I say, there are a lot of people who live life like kids in a candy store or kids at a buffet in a panic as if they'll run out and there isn't enough for everybody. There's always enough for everybody.
Always.
Be calm, relax. There's enough for everybody. And as you say, you know, it's about wishing people well and,
you know, always,
and helping people come through. It's about making connections and long-lasting connections. And ultimately, that's all life is about. But
it really is. It really is.
You want to leave a legacy that is, well, you know what? They did this. I'm able to do this because of what was handed down or because of the knowledge that you were given. You know, you want to leave something apart from, negativity.
Negativity. I mean, I remember reading once somebody, because I had, at one point, I had my studio in a school. So I was helping people in school, in a school in Chingford. I was helping them to do stuff. That was the first one I went to. And then somebody put up something about Total Contrast on social media. And this random girl that I just can't remember says, if it wasn't for this guy, I would not be DJing around the world right now. And I was like, wow. Yeah,
and that's it.
I don't remember her.
You don't even necessarily remember because you're not doing it for you to remember or for them to remember. Yeah. You're just doing it because you feel it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And give something to somebody else and let them run through. Because as I say, you know, the younger generation always will end up learning more than you'll ever know.
Yeah.
But you want the foundation of it to be at least something that you've contributed.
Yes, absolutely. And so I still do it now. I spend a life doing all of that kind of stuff. You know, I had a rapper in here yesterday with, you know, doing his music for him and showing him songwriting. I teach songwriting, do all sorts of stuff. So I'm still in the music business. I might not be out there all the time, but my main thing now is band. So I with my band, and my son is now in the band, as you know, and I just try and help musicians come through and do what they have to do, and hopefully I would leave something behind that would say that, you know, I influence a bunch of people and they feel
well,
really
you've already left quite a bit behind, so as you well know, that's why you're here. You know, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've driven me to drink, because I just had a white wine spritzer without the spritzer. That's
without the spritzer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you and wishing you all the best with your future projects. What are you planning? What are you planning?
I'm planning more like, we've got Jamaican Songbook has a tour in October.
Again, that's with Cleveland Watkins.
With Cleveland Watkins, and
known in the industry as Cleve Watkins.
Yeah. So my son's left that band now because he's got he's playing with young people now. I think
exactly. Enough of these old fogies, man.
He's playing with young people. So we got the great Alan Weeks join us, which is
okay.
Yeah, he's joined us in that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm with a band called the Top Cats. We play ska all over the place. So we got some dates coming up. I play with this local band sometimes, you know, just doing little incognito, little pub gigs and stuff. But wherever I can play, I do. I'm not one of those that goes, I'm not doing that. No, man, I just love music, so I will continue.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? I have to say, we've always known each other from afar, and obviously because of people that we know mutually. But when I saw you dropping that bass, I have to go back to this. This man dropped bass on Delroy Wilson's "What Is Man."
What is
you need
man?
to understand what that is. What is man?
Yeah.
This man played the bass on "What Is Man."
Yeah.
What? I just saw him. What is man? What is man? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You went up tenfold in my estimation. Tenfold.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you.
Well, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Your intimate details that you haven't shared before.
Barry.
But you know,
Barry, you took me deep.
Good. That's what it's about, because I think for people to understand us, they have to know who we are.
Yeah.
And understand why we are the way we are and why we do the things we do. Yeah. They have to have an understanding of who we are. And thank you for sharing those intimate details that you probably wouldn't otherwise have shared or
it
haven't
felt like
spoken about in years.
You know what this felt like exactly what it is. Sitting and talking to a mate.
Good. That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah. You know, it's supposed to be just an organic conversation. Yeah. It goes where it goes. And
I can vouch for that, Barry. We have not, honestly, he did not phone me up and say, I'm going to talk about this, whatever. We just started talking. That was how this happened. And I love that. I love that.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Wishing you all the best. And yes. Just keep
appreciating you too, Barry. I love what you're doing by getting our stories out here. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, you know, I think they need to be told, as I said, because far too often, and I mean, we can talk candidly, you're just seeing all these musicians that have contributed so much for over such a long period. But I think we need to have our stories told by people who are empathic, people who are socially, financially, emotionally involved in the story, because at least they're part of the journey. So, you know, I'm not looking to find out if you've ever been arrested or if you've done drugs or if you've got illegitimate children or if you've had a mental breakdown, because most people, when you're going mainstream, that's the narrative they want.
That's where they want to find. They want to find the dirt.
Yeah, the dirt. And because, you know, there is no dirt, a lot of you guys are slipping through the cracks. So, well, their story is not important or interesting because there's no dirt. for me, we don't need dirt. We need inspiration, especially where we are right now.
Oh,
we all know about the dirt. We've heard all about the dirt. We don't need any more dirt. We need inspiration. So I don't want to know your business like that, you know, but just the inspirational story. So thank you for sharing it intimately and openly and candidly with us. Really appreciated. Yeah. And I look forward to the final edit with all the little bits taken out. Yeah, you know which bits I mean. Delroy, take care. All the best.
You too, Barrie.
And thank you for your time.
Barrie, I'll always